All right, funny story. I can't. I'm echoing out here. Had to fix some technical difficulties. Welcome, happy Friday to everyone. We are back for another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. I'm always excited to be here and comment. Today, we are going to go over some of the hot news topics of the week. Wait 1 second. It seems like I'm making sure that I'm not echoing. Let me fix some things behind the scenes. I think for some reason I am echoing. All right, I think the problem has been resolved. Let me just make sure. All right, cool. We're good. Yeah. So once again, happy Friday to everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. We have different news topics to discuss today, and we're going to get into El Salvador Bitcoin mining. We're going to get into API banking. We're going to get into API security and also the Defend MITRE framework that just launched. So we have a lot to cover, and we will go through it. Give me a second on my end. I just want to make sure. I'm hearing a weird echo from the background, and I want to make sure that that's not coming through. So I think we're good. Let me start shutting some things down. One second. While I take care of this. That's not echoing. I'm not sure where the echo is actually coming from, but it's pretty strange. I don't think, hopefully you guys don't hear it. Yeah. So the first news topic of the day that I want to cover. So previously, right, we had an episode a few weeks ago, and we talked about in the news section, we talked about El Salvador and their recent Bitcoin news and making it a legal tender. And I want to get into some tweets by the president, Nnamdi Bukele. I'm so fascinated by him. So a tweet that he sent out June 9th and some other stuff going on. I've just instructed the president of a state-owned geothermal electric company to put up a plan to offer facilities for Bitcoin mining with very cheap, 100% clean, 100% renewable, zero emissions energy from our volcanoes. Our engineers just informed me that they dug a new well that will provide approximately 95 MW of 100% clean, zero emissions geothermal energy from all volcanoes. What I find really interesting about this is part of the reason with the Bitcoin crash and a lot of companies are being more social responsibilities, the energy consumption. So this direction that El Salvador is going and the things that they're doing, I find totally fascinating. Let's get into something else. And this week on June 24th, El Salvador has announced that it will release an official digital wallet for BTC and other currencies. According to a local media report published on June 24th, the effort follows the approval of Bitcoin as a legal tender in the country, which brought much attention to the Central American nation. The new wallet is called Chivo. It will form the basis of everyday use of the currency. So totally on point with what they're doing. Let's see, let's go back to the comments. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, so if you're with me, if you hear me, definitely shout out a happy Friday on the comments. Always love hearing your comments. So this was we're just going through different news articles of things we want to cover today. And then, like I said, we're going to get into API banking. It's one of the topics that came up this week with a Wells Fargo deal. All right, let's go into the next topic that we want to discuss. Let's see here. So Visa has So Visa is to buy the Swedish fintech Tink for 2.1 billion after abandoning the Plaid takeover. So if you remember, we also covered this in part of the news section. I think a couple of months ago, Visa was going to acquire Plaid. That deal fell through. So what is Plaid and Tink? They both operate in a nascent space known as open banking, which calls on lenders to provide third-party firms with access to coveted consumer banking data, provided they've got consent. Open banking has flourished in Britain and the EU thanks to new regulations. So that's all part of API banking, or banking as a service, where firms are now enabling you to access their data via their API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It allows two different programs to communicate with each other. And further in, we're going to discuss some security around that. So that's the next topic. Let me see if there are comments from our audience. I'm switching between various screens here. Oh, nice. Let's see. We got a comment. My man Shiji Uzo, it's my guy, Ampicast CEO. Government support of cryptocurrency in El Salvador is a first. Do we have a reason for its governmental support? It's a great question. So when we covered this, I mean, it's looking like for the same concept, right? I think it's a protection against their own currency. If you look at some of these developing nations, their currency is all over the place, right? So if you start to invest more so on a crypto side of things, it's a wealth store that I look at. And there's various things. I mean, we can definitely jump into that on a different topic, but I mean, in looking at it, I just definitely think it's a store against wealth protection in my opinion, especially when you look at the different like fluctuations with currency price, with currency and exchange rates and things like that. Also remittances. It makes it easier to do remittance and also do an exchange throughout. It's cheaper fees and things of that nature, more instantaneous. But these are all good questions, and I think on a future episode we should drill more into it. I know when we had there was a guest that we had, Chigozi. He's a CEO of an exchange in Nigeria, and we were really getting into the different advantages of using cryptocurrency, especially throughout Africa. And that, I don't know which episode that is, but definitely look at our past episodes. You can look at that topic in which we drill down into it. But that's a real good question, Chiji. Please also, list your opinion. You're right. Governmental support in terms of what they're doing in El Salvador is definitely a first. It's definitely historic, and I think the energy emissions and what they're doing for renewable energy for this, because one of the biggest issues that from a global perspective everyone's talking about is the amount of energy that's being used for crypto mining. I know Ethereum, for instance, is moving from a proof of work to proof of stake, and that should cut energy consumption down, tremendously for Ethereum. And we definitely touched base on that on a past episode. Platforms like Cardano is already proof of stake. Bitcoin is proof of work. I don't think they're going to migrate anytime soon. So the energy consumption is high. So one of the points that was made previously is everyone's harping on the amount of energy that crypto takes, but there's other resources that we use every day that takes a lot of energy. So that's another interesting spin on it. But definitely great question. Thanks for the comment. Really appreciate you tuning in. Let me now go. We talked about the Visa and Swedish fintech for Tink. Let's move on to API banking. So one of the reasons why we brought this up today, I mean, there was this different news article, so I just wanted to kind of give an overview and cover some aspects of API banking and how that is changing the industry. So if we look at it, whether you're looking at an e-commerce platform like Shopify offering financing to its merchants, or a tech giant like Apple branching out into providing credit cards, embedded finance is likely to be the next revolution in fintechs. APIs are powering the integration of financial capabilities with non-financial services. One of the most important uses of APIs is in banking, where the middleware companies help tech brands embed financial services in their products. I know there's another term called banking as a service, which we will cover. And a lot of the times in our previous episodes and some of the things that we covered, we're just seeing more non banking companies, more software companies get into the fintech space and consider themselves a fintech. Various APIs with various banks in the background allowing them to do this. So now you're seeing, lending, you're seeing different traditional banking resources that were used, or services that were used, are now used for brands and stores of that nature. So that's something that we find very, very interesting. Let me go back to I'm switching screens here. So let me go back and just see if there's any comments on that. All right. Chichi's comment. Thanks. I'll follow up. So that's from our previous Bitcoin. No problem at all. Like, definitely an interesting topic, and hopefully in the future we'll have you as a guest. You've been a guest that I've been wanted to have on the show for a while, to really drill into payments, because I know you're an expert in that space of what you're doing with Ampercash. All right, let's go back to let's move forward now from the different aspects of API banking. So, I mean, API banking, and I'm looking at it, a synonymous term, banking as a service, which is banking as a service is a provision of complete banking processes such as loans, payments, and deposits as a service using the existing licensed banks' secure and regulated infrastructure with modern API-driven platform. I have another comment. From Medina. Let's see what she's saying. These software companies get it in, but the regulatory environment is very, very complex. You're absolutely correct. I hate to misquote things, because I know that if someone said this, and I forget the CEO that mentioned it, but it was a CEO from an investment bank, and it almost was saying like the landscape, it's an unfair advantage, because you have the traditional incumbents. They're really bounded by tons of regulation, and some of the newer fintechs and how they're leveraging it, not so much, but yet they're competing in the same playground. But to your point, Medina, the regulatory environment is extremely complex. And not saying obviously you have to have some sort of regulation. We just know that from a big bank perspective, the regulatory environment, it's tons. And as you start getting into spaces of fintech, you have to obviously have some regulation around you, but not as strict. So it's looking as a way to circumvent certain things from the smaller companies that we're seeing. Let's put that comment down. Thank you. And always, I appreciate everyone's comment. Thank you for tuning into the show. Some episodes are just going to go through the news, and we like your opinions. Like, let me hear what you think about it. Right, we're bringing these topics out. The goal is to share information and grow as a community. That's what I always say. That's why the exchange of ideas and current events is so important. My man, Herb Barr. My guy. Yeah, security. That is an excellent point. And that's something that, obviously that doesn't miss me. When you talk about it's always this type of balance, right? Convenience versus security. I would say, unfortunately, the more secure you get at times, right, less convenient at times for the end user, but definitely necessary. Let me see what Herbs has to say also. API banking sounds like a hacker's dream as a smaller development companies dabble in the space. You know what? these are like really, really good points. And there's something called how should I describe this? There's different standards that need to be put in place, right? So the problem at times when using these APIs and people only thinking about from a development standpoint and an end product standpoint, they get lost in security. They get lost in, things that we call, shifting to the left, where you're applying certain security principles in as you develop. The libraries that you reference to develop, are they open? Are you taking certain things into account? I'm gonna pull up a screen right here. I'm gonna kind of skip back and forth. So it's something called the OWASP. It's an application security nonprofit group, and they come out with different standards. A bunch of professionals working to really increase the standards and making applications more secure. And they have the OWASP top 10 for web applications, for mobile applications, and for API applications. And I'm happy you touched on this, Herb, because we're going to go with the thing in a certain order, but this is a good point. So you have certain situations in which developers are not even adhering to top 10 best practices. We could just go over a few. Broken object level authorizations, right? Where APIs, let me pull that up on my side as well, because I have like multiple screens going up here. Give me a second. Pulling that up. Broken user authentication. Authentication mechanisms are often implemented incorrectly, allowing attackers to compromise authentication tokens or to exploit implementation flaws to assume other users' identities temporarily or permanently. Lack of resources and rate limiting. Quite often, APIs do not impose any restrictions on the size or number of resources that can be requested by the client or user. Not only can this impact the API server performance, denial of service. It can result in a denial of service. Another one, broken function level authorization. Complex access control policies with different hierarchy groups and roles, and an unclear separation between administrative and regular functions. Let's just jump around right here. Security misconfiguration, right, is commonly a result of unsecure default configurations, incomplete or ad hoc configurations, open cloud storage, misconfigured HTTP headers, improper asset management. APIs tend to expose more endpoints than traditional web applications, making proper and updated documentation highly important. So just bringing all this to say, right, to Herb's point, right? API banking sounds like a hacker's dream. Yeah, I mean, it is if you don't take the necessary steps to adhere to security. And I mean, these are the OWASP top 10, and there are various applications that can be run to expose your vulnerabilities in your API as a test prior. And let me just be honest, right? These tools are available, so it's not like attackers or threat actors can't run the same tools on your environment. So it's always better to run that first. Obviously, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, that's what we do. That's what we do as a service as well for our clients. But and what I'm going to do as well, all of the information that we're talking about today, I'm going to put in the comments so you have links to the different resources that we've discussed today. But great point, Herb. Thank you for bringing that up, because we are definitely going to touch on it, and appreciate that. We have another comment from Chiji. Let me read this comment now. Payment Services Directive 2 in Europe enables fintechs integrate with traditional banks, which supports API integration. This move, the EU ahead of the US, it simplifies fintech integration with traditional banks. Banks are not allowed to opt out. Compliance and regulation in the US is a nightmare. PST D2 in the EU simplifies this. Great point. I know on a past episode, sometimes even with, this is our 34th episode, I think. what we tend to always talk about a few news articles first, and then we go into the topic. This keeps everything fresh and updated. And definitely talked about the regulation that's going on in the EU. So thank you for bringing that up. And to that point, I mean, it's a few things to break down here, right? One, that regulation, for newer fintechs, you can access banking information via the API, and they have to basically allow this information. That's a regulatory thing that's going on in the EU. Two, as we just discussed, in doing that, whether you're on the bigger bank side or the fintech security we just went through the OWASP top 10. Obviously, there are tools that allow you to scan this, and also you want to do your necessary vulnerability testing prior and ensure that you are developing in a secure fashion. So I mean, that's a whole other conversation around DevSecOps and so forth. But great points, and all of this is around what we're the topic today. And let me move over to it. And I would say banking as a service is paving the way for embedded finance. Once the banks give access to this information, or in terms of the regulatory standard they're forced to do so, it really enables newer fintechs now to access that information and create different tools for the end user that will allow them to, it's the use cases are endless. So it's like, what can you think of as you access this information? What can you think of an idea that could just make, a business process easier or someone's life easier and so forth? And they're literally tons of fintechs doing it. Want to touch on an interesting PDF I found, and a part of that in terms of what is banking as a service. They're saying that it's going to be a $3.6 trillion market by 2030, which is very interesting. So it offers complete banking processes such as payment and credit card as a service through modern API-driven platforms. So that's everything that we're basically touching upon today, and the growth of the market. So I find that very interesting. Let me move on to another slide. Oh yeah, so I mean, that's really, let me see, we have some more comments around that. Cool. Yeah, I'll choose you that. Thank you for definitely bringing that up. I definitely appreciate that. Sounds like we are going to have a DevOps like government body to regulate smaller fintech companies. Oh wait, I didn't post a comment. I was reading the comment. All right, comment from Herb. Sounds like we're going to have a DevOps like government body to regulate. So off topic, in general, I know there was. I don't have it right in front of me. I want to pull it up, and I want to kind of go through it. That's a good point about the DevOps side, but it was more so. President Biden put out, they put out a directive for securing the software supply chain, secure development, and so forth. You know what? I'm gonna do something. We're live. We're just gonna go ad hoc. I'm gonna actually find it right now. So just bear with me. Really, I really do that. We kind of stay off topic, but the goal, sometimes the fun aspect of being live is you can kind of do stuff like this. We can kind of just look at things when look at certain items as they come up. Give me a second. I'm trying to I want to find it because I don't have it verbatim, but I literally just sent you know what? I literally just sent someone I was talking to. It'll be good to find it. Hold up. Let me see if I can do that real quick. 1 second. I have a computer screen behind me. Good. Thanks for bringing that up, Herb. Good stuff. But I want to see if. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see if we can pop that up on the screen. Usually everything is You know, sometimes you have to be a little bit nimble. Boom, able to get it. It's President Biden's executive order. Give me 1 second because I wanna scroll down. I want to scroll down to something real quick. Yeah, 1 second. This is something, I mean, you said like DevOps. I like to also like look at concepts like DevSecOps, in which we're taking the DevSec. I mean, and it really everybody goes back and forth that like there really shouldn't be a difference. You just have security embedded into your DevOps pipeline, but they have these different terms, so it's all good. But the idea essentially is shifting left. The idea is like really thinking through your whole software supply chain, looking to see if there are security vulnerabilities within that, and testing throughout the process from the start of development, looking even at a source code repository with static code analysis, to as you go through the pipeline, dynamic code analysis, understanding even the tools that you use. And when you went from a container environment, how secure is that? And you're going through, I mean, it's a whole, like I said, other show. But I'm going to leave your comment up and just like read this portion from enhancing this. And then, like, once again, this is a White House directive. Security of software used by the federal government is vital to the federal government's ability to perform its critical functions. The development of commercial software often lacks transparency, sufficient focus on the ability of the software to resist attack, and adequate controls to prevent tampering by malicious actors. There is a pressing need to implement more vigorous and predictable mechanisms for ensuring that products function securely and as intended. The security and integrity of critical software that performs function critical to trust, such as affording or requiring elevated system privileges or direct access to network and computer resources, is a particular concern. Accordingly, the federal government must take action to rapidly improve the security and integrity of this software supply chain, with a priority on addressing critical software. I mean, it's a little bit different than the point you raised, but I think it all falls in line how serious this is, and how serious, just in general, we're taking security on the software side. So let me bring up the other slide. So definitely thanks for bringing that up, Herb. Definitely appreciate it. Um, this is a really dynamic show today. We are like switching slides. We're like pulling up websites on the fly. I'm having some fun. Oh, cool. You nice. Thanks for that. Herb in the comments uh left the White House link. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add that. Hold on, let me see if I can copy it on this machine that I'm on. Okay, unfortunately I can't. So it's on LinkedIn, and what we will do is I'll post a comment. Well, you can Google it. You can I can put it here because I can't unfortunately copy his comment, but I can show it. So I'll leave it up here so that others can find it. This was an ad hoc topic. Wasn't planning on bringing it up. So thanks for leading us into that discussion, Herb. Uh, let's see what else we want to cover. I think the last thing that we want to cover is this really, really cool project by MITRE and Defend. It's a knowledge of a cybersecurity graph countermeasures, and that I will post. So let's just go over what it's about. It's basically to address the need in the near term. We created Defend, a framework in which we encode a countermeasure knowledge base, but more specifically, a knowledge graph. The graph contains semantically rigorous types and relations that define both the key concepts in cybersecurity countermeasure domain and the relations necessary to link those concepts to each other. We ground each of these concepts and relations to particular references in the cybersecurity literature. It's huge, great resource. I'll post that link, so I do have that link. And one of the things when I first saw this, a concern was from that I was thinking, I was like, wow, well, it's good today, but it's more as more threats come out, this may become a little bit stale. Hold up, I'm posting I'm posting for all our platforms right now. These are the various links that topics that we covered, and I just posted links to all of them. So from the OWASP to the Visa buying, the Swedish FinTech, and also Defend. So you can use those resources. Those links will now be available on Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So back to the Defend knowledge graph. One of the things that I was so impressed by this, and I haven't, and look, I haven't dived deep into it yet. I know it came out recently, so I just wanted to touch base on it. With these tools that we have in cybersecurity, it obviously could apply to all verticals. This show is focused on fintech and financial services, but it could apply to all. So it's definitely a really good resource you want to take a look at when you have some time. MITRE in general has great resources. I use them all the time, but this Defend knowledge graph is like really, really cool. But like I said, one of my biggest things was it becoming stale. And I like what they have at the bottom. I'm just going to read this from another computer. To demonstrate the value of this approach in practice, the graph supports queries that can inferentially map cybersecurity countermeasures to offensive attack techniques and procedures. Our longer-term vision is to leverage the linked open data available on research literature and apply machine learning, in particular semi-supervised methods, to assist in maintaining the Defend knowledge graph over time. They also welcome community feedback. So I just wanted to kind of bring that out into let me just 1 second. Just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention and also post the link because, like I said, it is a really, really good resource. Let me just show some of the resources on the main page. 1 second. So it looks a little bit, it's not organized in terms of formatting, but wait a minute. Something happened here. I think on YouTube, it didn't. You know what? Better yet, here's what we're gonna do to make it to make the links a little bit more organized. We're just gonna post one at a time. Let me just repost that. I'll post it one at a time. Defend info is a hold up. Renee just said sometimes I read the comment without posting it, and hold up, let's see. I read the comments without like posting it so everyone can see it. And I'm like, well, I'm reading it, but obviously you guys are not looking at it. So I have to put it on the forefront. Let me see something real quick. There is open source. That's great, but that's another comment. The Defend info is a hot topic this week. Oh, definitely is. I want to dive into it. Like I just really opened it up. I didn't really dive into it like I would really like to. I just kind of scanned it, and it looks like a really good resource, but I haven't really dived into it really deeply. Thanks for that comment, Renee. Appreciate you. Another comment from Medina. Open source, that's great, but I see vulnerabilities. Elaborate on that. I don't quite get what you mean by that. Or if you're talking about Defend or the API topic we talked about, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, so look, what I'm gonna do for everyone, because I think what I posted in terms of resources may not have come out organized. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna post them one at a time. And then, and these are the resources that we covered today. This way you can follow up on it. on your own if you would like to. But I want to just have it a little bit more organized than it was. I think it didn't come out formatted. I posted them all together. Give me a second. I think I have a comment, and then after I do that one, I'm gonna go back up in the comments. All right, cool. That was the last one, and I think I missed a comment. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure. Let me make sure this is a legit comment because sometimes we have like these weird bots commenting on our show. Okay, no, that's a legit comment. Would love to see you choose your own adventure interactive tool. Let's see, choose your own adventure interactive tool. Not sure, but yeah. Huh. Well, I'm not sure. Would love to see. Oh, okay, wait. I think there's more clarity right here. Give me a second, Medina. I'm trying to. I see a comment somewhere else. I'm trying to find it. All right, there we go. Open source ML capabilities. That's where I see the vulnerability. Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. And we had a show about that. Obviously, a couple of episodes ago, Medina was a guest, and we touched based on that. So no, totally. It, it's interesting. I mean, I think we have to like that's something I would have to dive. We have to dive further in. Maybe when you're back on the show, we can dive into that. So that's definitely interesting that you see that. I definitely know. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't look at it that way. That's definitely interesting. Let's go. So to all, listen, that looks like our show today. Just want to touch base on a few things. Let me stop sharing the defend. I think that's it. Yeah, so that looks like our show today. I mean, I wanted to touch base on the latest news articles that I saw that I found interesting. I'm really following El Salvador and what they're doing and their president. I think it's just really innovative. I'm not going to get it. Like we have people that believe in Bitcoin, don't believe in Bitcoin, don't believe in crypto, believe in crypto. I'm not going to get into that per se. Everyone has their own beliefs in that. Whether it is what it is. But I'm for the technology and just from a country embracing it in this way and what they're doing. I just think it's just very very interesting, and that's something that I want to keep tabs on for sure. We touched on API banking. Definitely the possibilities are endless. Obviously, companies are currently doing it. You have Plaid, you have Tink, you have what's going on. Like Visa obviously just acquired Tink, and they were planning to do that same thing to Plaid. So that's open. What a number that struck me was, 'cause I'm big into numbers. It is expected to, like, banking as a service, accessing that, expected to be a $3 trillion industry. Wait, let me get the exact number. What they said? What did they say? A $3.6 trillion market by 2030. It's crazy. So that's only it's only 9 years away. So it's definitely something that we want to look at. But to Herb's point, security, and that's why we talked about the OWASP top 10. I mean, in general, any type of application that you're building, whether it's mobile, whether you're going to be leveraging APIs, whether it's web, you could always find an OWASP top 10 in terms of application security. That's a resource that's available to the public. And also, from an industry perspective, we definitely have tools that we can go through to ensure that the top 10 is you're not in violation, that you can find these issues. And in general, when it comes to applications, you want to find these issues sooner than later into your software development lifecycle. Essentially, it gets more expensive to resolve the closer it is to production. And then we went into the defend framework. Um, definitely a great resource for MITRE. We put some links there for everyone to look at. I think it's a really good resource, something that I personally want to dive further into for my studies and my for my clients and so forth. So, that's a wrap today. We listen, everyone. I really appreciate you tuning into the show. We started this 34 weeks ago, and we're still kicking it strong. We've been talking about various news topics, trying to keep our fingers on the pulse of what's going on from the technology perspective, and had some very interesting guests, and we would continue to have some very interesting guests and cover very interesting topics. And one of the great things about the live show is that I can get your feedback and your interaction, because I want to really hear what your thoughts are. I mean, from an industry perspective, unless we're in professional organizations or certain communities, it's really hard to interact with people outside of your job or client space. So this interaction and diving into technology is really awesome, and I'm happy I get to do it on a weekly basis. Um, Other than that, I think that is a wrap for today. So solo, I did like 42 minutes. Wow. Okay, that's cool. I'll take it. Listen, everyone, have a wonderful, brilliant weekend and enjoy yourselves. You take care. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Next week, 12 p.m., same bat channel. You'll catch us here live on another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. Cheers.